and divisions. Now we will take the leftover topic, semi-supervised learning. So you see that semi-supervised learning is a machine learning approach that falls between supervised and unsupervised. That is, it is a hybrid of supervised and unsupervised learning. So it uses the small amount of labeled data. So the thing is, suppose you have a very large data set and you have a limited budget. So what you can do, you can select some portion of your data, a small portion of your data, and put some expert. You can hire some expert to label the data. Okay? So that labeling would be done by expert. Remember, it is not complete labeling, only on a small portion of data. So it uses small amount of data, labeled data, along with large amount of unlabeled data to improve the learning performance. So that means basically you have a small portion of your labeled data and large portion of unlabeled data. So with that, what you can do, you can increase the learning performance, enhance the learning performance. So key characteristics are mix of labeled and unlabeled data, bridges supervises and unsupervises learning. So it acts as a bridge between supervised and unsupervised learning. It is cost effective. Cost effective in the sense that in supervised learning the cost is required to actually label the data by some expert or some supervisor. Over here you pay a very less amount to that expert because you are giving a subset of data. So it reduces the cost. Okay. So the common approaches in semi-supervised learning is self-training, consistency regularization, and graph-based method, and generative models. So the model in self-training, means that model is first trained on the labeled data. Okay. Then it predicts the labeled set of unlabeled data. So you have some expert have already given you labeled data. So you train the model on the basis of that. Then you predict the label of unlabeled data. The most confident predictions are added to the training set. And whenever you are sure that this is actually the correct prediction, then add it into the training set. So training data set actually keeps on increasing, and whereas the unlabeled data sets keeps on decreasing. So at the end you have the majority of labeled data. Encourages the model to produce consistent outputs for similar inputs even with small perturbations, with a small distribution. So that means we can be maintaining the consistency of your outputs. The graph-based method uses the graph structures where the labeled and unlabeled samples are connected to propagate the label information. Okay? So that means we can correct the graphs, okay, on the basis of labeled and unlabeled samples, and we can propagate the information correctly. Generative models generate synthetic data to help the model learn better representations like GANs. So these can be used to generate a data set for you, okay, on which you can train. So why we should use semi-supervised learning? So in real world scenarios, the labeled data is often limited because labeling is expensive and time consuming. Like medical diagnosis, speech transcriptions, these are very costly. And vast amount of unlabeled data is available. You can collect the data without labeling it. Okay? So vast amount of data is actually available to us, but cannot be used directly in supervised learning. Semi-supervised learning helps by using a small labeled data set to guide learning from large pool of unlabeled data sets. Okay? So it improves the model accuracy without requiring massive manual labeling effort. So you are saving that massive manual effort.